Welcome to the Catholic Audio Media Podcast, and it's now the 6th of August. It is the feast of the Transfiguration. So that means when you go to church today, you will be praying the Gloria. You won't do the Creed. When you do the Gloria and the Creed, that's when we have a solemnity, which is most Sundays, some Sundays, obviously during Lent and Advent, we don't do the Gloria, but we do the Creed. And but in a solemnity, Gloria and Creed, and in a feast, Gloria. And it's a feast because today is, in fact, the Feast of the Transfiguration. And for those of us in the United States and also Japan, it has the irony of being this day when we look at this intensely bright manifestation of God, recognizing, not celebrating, but recognizing this other bright light that brought total destruction. So, which of course is the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima. Also, now I don't know if this is still the case. I have to look it up, and I did, whether or not August 9th, which is when the other bomb was dropped over Nagasaki, is still a holiday in our neighboring state of Rhode Island. Actually, it's a holiday in two states, Rhode Island and Arkansas. And I remember I was with a couple of friends from the Navy, and they visited me here in New England. And we went to what was it called? No, was it Newport Creamery? I think it was. Newport Creamery in Rhode Island. And it was August 9th. It was a holiday. And I remember the waitress had spoken to us, and she said, yeah, there was concerns about this day because the name of the day at that time was called VJ Day, means Victory Over Japan. Now it's called Victory Day. And she said, we're actually celebrating the bomb was dropped over Nagasaki. So interesting thought. This was from a waitress. There was also, I always remember it because if you are not from New England, if you are from another part of our beloved country and you come to New England and you order, because this is one of the guys ordered one of those things that we spell FRAPPE, which is not a milkshake, by the way. A milkshake is different. In New England, we have what is called a frap, and that's kind of a really special milkshake. I think it has ice cream in it. And he ordered a frappe. Oh, obviously you are not from New England. It's a frap. That's what we call it. And it is a really super loaded, not with any alcohol, loaded milkshake. Milkshake is like milk and flavoring and sugar. A frap has ice cream, and it's just a lot more than that. So, but it is not a frappe as he ordered it. But in any case, this is the Feast of the Transfiguration, which has the irony of being a feast that also happens to be on the same day as the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima. So it has this intense, both are recognized in a display of tremendous light, whereas one is the light of the reality of goodness, and the other is a light that is just plain terrifying. And so we look at that, but what is the difference between the two besides that? One is the light of the manifestation of God. The other is the light of the destructive power of human ingenuity going the wrong way. In my last assignment, I was at St. Anthony Parish in Allston, which is literally a mile from Harvard Square. And as you walk down what is Western Avenue, I believe it's Western Avenue, yes. As you continue down Western Avenue and you walk by the Harvard Coliseum, which literally looks like the Roman Coliseum, and you continue down and you cross the Charles River, before you even get to the Coliseum, walk by the site where the first napalm bomb was tested, or the first napalm, which obviously was invented locally in Cambridge area. And you look at that, and it's not really well. There's a sign there, but obviously it's not something. Oh, this is exciting, because can you think of anything more destructive? And there are things than napalm. If you don't know what napalm is, it is literally jellied gasoline set on fire. And they used to drop it in Vietnam, which is interesting considering our topic in the second half of this program. So used to drop it and bomb people. And there's a famous picture that was in Life magazine, which at the time was the magazine for pictures. And it's a picture of a young girl who is running down the street. All her clothes have been burnt off, and she's in an intense amount of pain because she was hit by napalm. And you probably know that famous line from the movie The Dare Hunter, or no, it's Apocalypse Now. Sorry, the Apocalypse Now. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. And of course, these are these destructive forces that were used during war. And as I said in a previous program, someone turned around and said, that's a good idea. What? What are you telling me? Why is that a good idea? Let's make gasoline like jelly. Well, what are we going to do there? Then we just have jellied gasoline. No. We set it on fire. And then we drop it on our enemies. What a crazy idea. And let's face it, I am sure there are many American troops, or not many, at least some American troops who may have been hit by napalm by accident. I mean, that's clearly that's a possibility. I have no record of that. I have no idea, but it's clearly a possibility. But either way, and this is the day that we recognize something that happened long before that, the dropping of the nuclear bomb. There's a great poem done by Thomas Merton where he talks about it. Of course, Thomas Merton was against the nuclear bomb, as is I. And Thomas Merton was against the nuclear bomb, and he wrote this poem. But apparently one of the generals say it was not going to work. He did not believe it was going to work. And then suddenly they found out that it was. Now, in case you didn't know, on August 6th, Truman ordered the drop of the nuclear bomb on Nagasaki, Japan. Hiroshima, Japan. Then he ordered the second one on August 9th to drop on Nagasaki. The Japanese did not know that we didn't have a third one. Those were the two we had, and they didn't know. But Truman basically said, and if you don't surrender right now, we're going to drop a third. There was no third. But it was still this tremendous destructive force. And of course, what is the aspect of it is this great intense heat changes the environment. It also causes this nuclear fallout, and the nuclear fallout causes great destruction. It's just this horrible thing that humanity created. God never created this. Humanity created it, and it all starts with someone saying, gee, that would be a great idea. And so you can look at this. One of the great things about this feast is to understand which side are you going to choose. Are you going to put your hope in humanity, or are you going to put your hope in God, who is there leading humanity to the path towards goodness? And without God, we walk down the path towards total destruction. And we can see that. Which way are you going to walk? And so today is this feast of the Transfiguration, remembering that Jesus is preparing himself to be crucified. Now, there's something very powerful there. Remember, this is just before Jesus was arrested and is crucified, and Peter, James, and John were with Jesus. Why? Why were they there, and why did they get to see this? And the reason is because Jesus was preparing them for their total discouragement and total disillusionment. There's the word. And unfortunately, when I go to come up with a word, sometimes the word doesn't come up in English. And the word I kept thinking was desanimação, which is the discouragement. It literally is disanimation, but it means discouragement. This disillusionment that this man that they followed turned out to end up dying on a cross, and therefore how could they possibly believe in him, and they made the wrong decision and all. Horrible experience that they had. But they could always look back and say, yes, but there was that day. Now, the second reading today is St. Peter explaining the Transfiguration. Do we have an eyewitness account of the Transfiguration? Yes. It's today's second reading from the writings of Peter. So, yes, we do. And so understanding that, we can say, well, we have no proof that actually happened. Well, no, we have an eyewitness account. 2 Peter 1:16 through 19 is the reading today. And he talks about this very scene. It's very similar to, do we have any eyewitness accounts to the resurrection? Yes, of course we do. But the Gospels are not eyewitness accounts. The oldest eyewitness account we have is 1 Corinthians 15, which you can read through. And Paul makes his statement that, yes, I'm one of the witnesses of Jesus' resurrection. So we see this powerful event happen. And it's a reminder that the Lord is in charge. And if we put our hope in the Lord, then we may find ourselves disillusioned for a time, but that disillusion is only because you're not ready, or the time hasn't come for you to experience the fullness of what the Lord has to prepare for you. So this is what happens. Peter, James, and John are on the mountain. They see in their fullness Moses and Elijah and Jesus, in the light that they become, this intense brightness, and that prepares them for dealing with the darkness of Jesus' crucifixion, so that when it happens, they can turn around and say, we didn't expect this. We thought he was the Messiah. And then Peter or James or John or all three saying, yeah, but what was it that happened when he was transfigured right in front of us? And there's something that is a message. Well, on the other side of the break, we're going to hear the final part of our interview with Elizabeth Nguyen. Speaking of great evil, she talks about the great evil her brother suffered, but also the blessing of God. So we'll hear that on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Catholic Audio Media Podcast. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Catholic Audio Media. Patreon.com/Catholic Audio Media. Check us out. Check what we have to offer. Previews of upcoming podcasts. Previews of upcoming columns over at catholicaudiomedia.substack.com. Your ability to comment, make suggestions, even make suggestions in upcoming programs. Check us out, patreon.com, Catholic Audio Media. So now we're going to go to the final part of our interview with Elizabeth Nguyen, and she is the co-author with Father Stefan Leclerc of the book Cardinal Nguyen van Thuan, Man of Joy and Hope. Wonderful, wonderful book, his whole story. And he spent 13 years in a communist prison in Vietnam, 9 of them in solitary confinement. And I remember when he spoke at St. John's Seminary in Brighton, Massachusetts, he said that was the most difficult part of his imprisonment. You can find the book at ignatius.com and also your favorite online and brick and mortar bookstores, especially obviously Catholic and Christian bookstores. Let's switch over to the interview right now. And you wrote of he had an experience where this woman would come in to do some kind of cleaning or something, and she would be insulting and nasty to him until finally he said, I have nothing against you. Why are you like this? And he said, and you wrote that changed. He experienced a light then, and that changed everything.
That's right. That was the first ISO that he was in. And that they gave them a lot of salty food. And so when you eat that, you're so hungry you have to eat. And after that, you have to drink. But then they wouldn't let you out to go and relieve yourself. Then you end up dirtying your cell. And your cell is so tiny anyway. And so it's on cement floor, it takes a long time. And with the heat, it humidity, so it takes a long time to dry up, and the smell. And so this lady who comes in, she holds him down, and then she said, you call yourself a bishop and you live like an animal. You're so dirty. And he said day after day, he was just just angry and frustrated. And he said, I have to love my neighbor, but I certainly can't love this lady. It's just too much for me. But so just tell me what is it that I can do, because I would love to be faithful to your teaching, but right now I can't. But he said quite a few days like that, and one day he just heard, Francis, you are so rich. You still have the love of God. Why don't you start digging that out, that love, that treasure out, and share it? And so he said, he prayed the rosary, he prayed so hard to say, please help me to say something to this lady that not maybe very loving, but at least civil. So then one day she came in, and he said, yes, like you said, lady, I have nothing personal against you. You do your job, and I know you don't even know me, and you have nothing against me. I happen to be a prisoner who, due of circumstances, have to give you this dirty job. I wish I could do otherwise. So I'm very sorry, but, to give you this dirty job, I apologize. And he said, the change in her face just softens. And he said that a big load of his shoulder is just gone, disappeared. And he felt so much more peaceful. And he never was given that treatment again.
Wow, that was that change. And so he believes that those words were an answer to prayer?
Oh, yes. He said, absolutely. If you totally want to follow the Lord, but you are so desperate and so weak, you don't know what else to do, then he will come, so long as you cooperate with him. And I was so amazed that when he said that, he doesn't say that in public. He would say that among family or very close friends. But then we have decided to put that in the book so that people who are in such a miserable state, so in such darkness, and they could just see that and they could just cling on to God's love.
Now, when he got out of prison, and it was interesting, he ended up speaking to the interior minister and said, I want to get out of prison, and he let him out.
That's right. He said that the night before, he was really preparing the feast of the presentation of Our Lady, which is the following day in November. Yeah. And so he said, so he prayed Our Lady that night. He said, Mary, could you just give me a sign that you are with me? If you just tell me or give me a sign that you are with me, then I'm at peace. But I feel so abandoned right now. So he said that morning he was cooking his rice for breakfast, and he heard the telephone ringing in the corridor. He heard people walking back and forth, And then the guard opened the door and said, hurry up and eat. And you cannot go and meet the Minister of Interior Affairs with pajamas like this. Nobody meet the minister that way. Here, we give you a pair of pants and a shirt.
Wow.
Eat quickly and wear it, and we'll come to take you to see the minister.
Isn't that something?
So
and that
he
was
said,
he wasn't expecting that at all.
No, not at all.
Wow.
So then he said, early in the morning, I've already prayed again, rosary and everything. And so maybe today, the presentation of Our Lady, I am sure she's going to give me a sign. So when he went there, he said suddenly he was so bold. He's no longer scared. And he was just, the man came in and he saw on the table a cup of tea and 2 bananas. And he said, they never treated me this way. So maybe it's a sign, you know. So the minister came in laughing away and said, Mr. Thuan, you are such a headache for us. You've given us so much headache. Amnesty International, the Vatican kept pushing us. What did we do to you and all that? We would love to get rid of you.
That's fascinating. I read that. They just wanted to get, they apparently there was a lot of pushback from outside the country about the way he was treated. And so the government was like, you're causing us more problems than you're worth.
Exactly. And do you remember, Father, that was a time, 1998, that was a time when John Paul II went to Poland and all that and say, be not afraid.
Oh, wow.
Remember, and the War of Berlin too.
Was it 1998?
Not 1998, but around
those years. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And so,
communism was falling.
And so they were worried. So they just said, "Oh my God, get rid of this guy."
So his plight had been known around the world.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And so he just said like that. So you want to be free? And he said, yes. When? He said, today, now. And suddenly the minister laughed and said, really, eh? Hey, God, did you hear that? He wants to be free today. So what are you waiting? Go and do the paperwork for him.
Wow. And let me think. As I remember, when he left, did he go straight to Rome, or he went someplace? I don't think he went out of the country, didn't he?
No, he was not allowed to go out the country yet. So they sent him to be at with the Bishop of Hanoi.
Okay.
So, and they say, you are not allowed to say Mass to the public. You can say it in your own room. And you are not allowed to exit that building.
Mm.
And so he stayed there with the Archbishop of Hanoi.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day he just kept putting in more application to Vatican and to the government and to the church in Vietnam. He said, okay, can I just have a parish somewhere? Mm-hmm. I would like to practice my priestly ministry. Right. And so they got annoyed with that. They say, this guy, he's not going to leave us alone. We better take him out of the country. And so they say, you need to go to pay a visit to your parents. Go. And after that, we give you the visa to go to Australia and Rome.
Wow.
And then stay there for a while, few months or a year.
Go away.
Just go away. So then, so that's how he came to see my parents in Sydney, Australia. Wow. Stayed there for a couple of months and then went to Rome.
Wow. Now, he became a real advocate for from a Catholic perspective of human rights.
That's right. And he was right away. John Paul II appointed him in 1994 to become vice president of the Pontifical Council of Justice.
Yes, I remember.
And then told him right away, you need to start to revise the social doctrine of the church, whose founder was Pope Leo
Right.
X.
That's right.
Yeah, and so the Pontifical Council of Justice, they all, ask around the world who are the expert in all of this, and they start to work on that social justice, which became the compendium of social justice that we know today.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember on his deathbed, his secretary, Bishop Crepandi, gave him the draft of that social justice document for him to sign, and it was published 2 years after he passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now he is. There is a process for his canonization.
Yes, the process was started 5 years after his death, and at this time he has been declared venerable.
Oh, wonderful! So he's so. Let me say there's servant of God, then there's venerable, then there's beatified, and then canonized.
Yeah.
So he's venerable, which is the same. I don't know the right term, but the same position as Archbishop Fulton Sheen.
I suppose so. Yes. And what year was Archbishop Fulton Sheen become venerable?
It was fairly recent, but there was some kind of politics going on between the Vatican and the Archdiocese of New York. Not politics, but a lot of people want to see that process move forward, and the Archdiocese of New York had some issue, and his home diocese is in Iowa. So I don't know the full story, but that was his situation. Obviously, not a lot different.
Yeah,
it's fascinating as I'm reading this because. Did you notice any long-term effects of his imprisonment? I mean, did he have post-traumatic stress disorder or anything like that?
Not post in that sense. Mentally, no, but physically, a lot. Yeah,
really?
Because he went through a lot of operation in prison, and one of the operation he was left to die.
Oh.
But he has operation of the prostate, and somehow it was totally infected. And he said he was left in a room by himself, and he said no nurses or no doctors should intervene for pain or for anything.
Oh.
So they hoping that he might die. However, he said miraculously that night, in the middle of the night, one young doctor with a flashlight came in and said, Mr. Thuan, I'm going to help you. You need to cooperate with me. He said, yes, how? I am going to pump in saline water with antibiotic into your bladder and clean it because you are totally infected there.
Wow.
It's going to be painful, and I want you to be very quiet.
Oh.
And I will give you a shot of antibiotic, and you never will utter a word that somebody help you.
Oh, wow.
So he said that the next day he felt relieved. He was able to go to the washroom. Oh. His fever went down. And years after, when he came out from Vietnam and let us know, and he was frantically looking for that man to repay him somehow, but we have to go through so many families, so many contacts before we could send a gift to that doctor because they were afraid that he may be, punished.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this has been absolutely fascinating and inspiring, and I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk with me about this.
Father, thank you for having me.
Oh, this was wonderful. We learned so much, everything from Canada to his life in Vietnam and everything about.
Where are you, Father? Which part of U.S. are you?
I'm in New England.
Oh, okay. If you ever pass by this time, please come and visit.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd absolutely
please.
love to. Oh, you can find the book by Elizabeth Nguyen, Cardinal Thuan, Man of Joy and Hope, at your favorite bookstore, including Ignatius.com and your favorite online and brick-and-mortar bookstore. We're going to be back tomorrow with another program. In the meantime, have yourself a blessed day, and we will see you then.